Good afternoon. I'm Pearson Crosby, obviously. I have Ben and Payton from Best Buds with me, and we're going to go over the ins and outs of bud tending. It's going to be a pretty informal discussion, but I think it's necessary being that there's so many states that are legalizing, and I've really come to admire Ben's way of customer service. He's exceptional at getting the customer to come back, and he's knowledgeable. Ben, Payton, you want to say hello?
Oh, yeah. We're going to open it with our theme song, if that's cool.
Thanks for having us, Pearson.
Yeah.
Best Buds. Best Buds. Don't you want to come smoke weed with us? We'll be your Best Buds. Come on down to my place. We'll smoke weed in my basement when my mom's away. Yeah, we can be Best Buds. Don't you think we can be Best Buds?
Oh, right. That's what I'm talking about.
Thanks for having us here. So I'm Payton McCann. Joined with me as always,
Ben Farleigh.
And,
We are Best
we
Buds.
are Best Buds and good friends with Pearson Crosby. Thank you for having us on, man.
We've had you on our show here in New York. You were our first guest here in New York, man.
Yeah. I think I was driving through, and I knew you were there, and I gave you a call.
I wasn't gonna miss a chance to have you on the show,
Thanks
man.
for reaching out, man. Us Alaskans got to stick together.
I think it was the first time I met Payton.
Yeah, it was.
And Payton didn't know. I don't think we were introduced, nor I think Ben asked me to, or Ben told me I could catch a ride with you one time when I was stuck in Wasilla.
Yeah, I remember that. He was like, this guy Pearson's going to be reaching out to you for a ride into Anchorage. I was like,
Yeah, come from the guy.
I'll do it. If he reaches out, I'm open.
Yeah,
It's worth your while.
I was a delivery / sales for a concentrate manufacturer up in Alaska. And so I was driving to and fro Anchorage all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting gig, isn't it?
Oh, it's interesting. Not without its challenges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but fun. You're in a fun industry, but but it's stressful sometimes making out those manifests.
Well, Massachusetts is going to have to worry about that also. They're with the metric system.
Oh, are they really?
I feel like isn't every state on the metric system?
What system's better? Like, what do you recommend new states get into?
The Canadian metric.
Okay, so
I'm just joking. So the metric system is the only system I've ever used. I've only transported. I've only dealt with Alaska and Massachusetts. So
all I know is tagging and bagging every morning.
Yeah, I didn't have to do any of that. It was always ready for me when I came to.
Well, la-di-da.
Yeah.
Not all of us have the pull of Pearson Crosby. So
I had to drive. My first drop off was 300 miles from my start point.
Oh my gosh.
I would leave it.
If you're doing it out of Fairbanks, that's a hell of a run.
And to and from Fairbanks, like driving from the valley to Fairbanks, you pass through like the park, which technically is federal, and so you're driving. Yeah.
Well, I never had any issues with it. If you are able to say the right things the right way, kind of like TSA, going through TSA, I would say, oh, it's kind. Have you ever heard of CBD? It's kind of like CBD, and they're in it's a solid until 155 degrees, which it's not. But that's how I would get through TSA with 200 grams of half grammars of concentrates.
Yeah.
They're not dangerous. They shouldn't be messing with us. Like it's like Frank Berardi. Frank Berardi, once they legalized cannabis in Alaska, he got a quarter taken from him in Fairbanks going to Anchorage, and he sued the airport police, and they had to give it back to him and made the front page of the newspaper.
Really? Well, that happened to Phil when he was flying down to like Juneau and Ketchikan. He got stopped and it all got taken at the TSA, and he got like turned away.
Oh, so this was record. This was his personal stash. It was just a quarter.
Oh, okay. But this was like all manifested and everything, and they.
Yeah. So if the pilot finds out about it, or they need to have plausible deniability. That's why you can't be a private pilot and fly your own stuff. Or that's what
I was told. It was sage.
What's that?
I said I was told this was sage.
I was just
transporting
a bag of oregano for the Italian restaurants in rural Alaska.
Spirits in the air.
Yeah, exactly. Either way, it's stable material. It's not like it's any more dangerous than makeup in someone in a purse or 1.5 ounces of water.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they control it like we're transporting COVID-19 samples.
As soon as
and that's never good. Don't do that.
Weed it bursts into flame with spontaneous at 30,000.
I have so many pictures of me in the bathroom of the airport before I go through TSA with just making sure I have everything. I'm gonna have to post them up sometime.
Yeah, you have like a system for organizing everything.
Oh, absolutely. We had it down pat. Like I would get to the first pickup in Fairbanks, and for a long time, as long as there wasn't bad weather, which I mean, there was bad weather all the time. I can't even say I was there exactly when the manifest said, but most of the time I was, which really made me uncomfortable as a security professional. You never want to be
predictably on time.
I'm sure you're very wary of that. Yeah,
I would change my vehicles up every run because I was stopping from every retail outside of Fairbanks to Homer and back, cash all the way back, or pounds and pounds of trim.
Yeah.
We're bringing stuff back to a retail up here. But yeah, that was a headache. But we're getting off topic. So, we can talk a little bit about
keep us on track.
All right. Yeah. So that's my job here. The roles have changed. So Ben, I think the bud tender is the most important, but also the entry level to mid to middle management. You know what I mean? How do you see it? I think they're the gatekeepers pretty much. They're the ones that make everything happen.
The bud tender was originally usually just a one-man sales operation out of his own home. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, a bud tender has gone from a dealer, basically a dude who procured his own product, who sold his own product. Sometimes, I mean, there were instances back when it was illegal black market where it would be a guy who had kind of a distribution net, with fronts and all that kind of stuff. Because legally, you can just say like, oh, we're just giving you the product and you'll pay us at a different time. You can have that on paper now.
Yeah, Ben was one of the first, one of the only ones on his resume had 5 years of experience when they opened.
Yeah, I was like I think I said that 7+ years. Yeah, I mean that's really a lot of this skill set came over time, not even just at the shop front. This was all skill set that I had coming into it from. This is like my 10th, 11th year of selling weed now. So, boy,
you're like an OG, for real.
Been doing it for a minute, man. And so, as to your question, I mean, bud tenders not only are the gatekeepers, but they were the original people that that was the only person you would see. You wouldn't see a company front. You wouldn't see a shop front. So they really are their only area of familiarity that customers have when they come into a shop. That's the only thing that they know is the bud tender.
You're right. I mean, a bud tender, but they were called something different, correct?
Well,
I mean, bud tender was I guess the term was the runner or the front man.
Ben's been a spokesman for cannabis since we met. We met in high school at a party, and Ben came in with a backpack, and immediately, and like Ben walks into it, who's this guy? And he has a backpack on. He just swings it off his back, and it's just a bag of weed, like a whole thing of weed, and he puts it on the counter. He's like, "Anybody want some weed?" He's like, "Dude, this is the coolest guy."
It was fun. That's how
I'm going to sit next to him for a long time.
I was like, I've never seen anything this positive about cannabis before.
Big time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What did about it?
Yeah, man. We just did a 1 to 2 day tea break. It was like a 2 day, 1 night.
It was like a 40-hour tea break,
and it was driving me nuts, man. I realized how like important cannabis is in my life.
Well, you mean like you did a fasting of cannabis for 2 days?
Yeah, a little tolerance break over Sabbath to get us ready for 420 to really take us over the top.
And oh boy, yeah.
And it worked, man.
I cleaned my
We didn't
clock.
need it. We didn't need the tea break to get stoned.
No, but we did it.
Well, that's good. Yeah, Ben's a heavy cannabis consumer.
You don't. I mean, you got to know you can do it. You know.
You got to be confident in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like wrinkling my hands here, even thinking about going back to. I'm like thinking about what it was like. And I'm like, God damn.
Don't ever want to be in that spot again.
So, we do keep on going off topic. So, Ben, bud tending. It was it once was a living room exchange, and how have you seen it evolve?
So the big way it's evolved is like I was saying, it used to be, a bud tend or I guess just a dealer was at the top of his own food chain. At least he felt like it, there was always somebody bigger. Like I always knew that there was a guy with more weed and more money above me.
Yeah.
But he was not my boss. I was my own boss. The big difference is that now you have a boss and a person telling you how weed at this location needs to be sold and how and just like with any job, you got to start with exactly what they want, and then maybe you can start to evolve a little bit as to like you implement some of your own ideas over time, and maybe they catch on. Some of them they'll tell you not to do, some of them they'll be okay with. So bud tending has become, less of a one-man operation, and it's become more of like a team environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it takes
it's a business now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a business, and you can see sometimes when at any business where there'll be somebody that you really like when you go in and you order whatever from them, and you really like them, and you come back for that person. And then when that person leaves, or when you come in and it's a different person, and you're like, son of a fuck, man. You're kind of mad that it's not them, and you almost just want to turn right back around and walk out.
Oh, absolutely. I felt that way before, because you develop a relationship with somebody that you feel like, okay, they know me. And I guess it's exactly that. They make me feel comfortable. I just like saying hello to this person, and that's why I want to keep my money.
And here's the other, sometimes that's a big thing. A lot of the time, the relationships I had formed with my customers would bring them in. They'd be like, dude, I was just passing by. I wasn't even going to buy some weed, but now that you got me here, and I'm like, dude, you got to try this out. Like, if
exactly.
You're here, there's no way you can pass upon like, you just came in at the right time. We just got to deliver this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of funny how, like, if you can get people to just stop in to say hi, you
they're popping in to see a friend.
Yeah. And then like it improves the mood of the entire store as well. So your co-bud tenders, the other customers that come in, they're all going to be, way more stoked on the store, on everything. Cause it's like, dang, I just walked into, it feels like you walked into somebody's house again, Yeah. It's like back to those old school memories.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like when you get lucky enough to have a a pot dealer that you enjoy their company, you know.
Yeah.
But not a Pineapple Express type deal.
And you know what's kind of
Not a
funny is
lingerer.
this isn't just, you know, like me bragging. It's also like I've had it happen at other stores. Like I walk into the store.
That's exactly why you're on right now, because I know it. I watched you. I came to that shop like almost every day for a year and a half. Every Thursday, you guys were usually my last stop. I'd see you every day. It's you, Faye. Like it was. I always enjoyed coming in and seeing you work. That's why you're here. I have full confidence in what you're saying.
I'm crying a little bit. Just gonna cry a little bit. Over here.
Yeah, I'm not trying to, you know, give you a big head or anything, but no, I absolutely.
But here's the thing: is like I would form those relationships with other bud tenders though too. Like there were some people that like I go in. I like to let people know who I am, especially. So I'll go up to a bud tender and be like, yo, man, I work at this shop, blah, blah, blah. And then I maybe tell them I got a cannabis radio show or something. I mean, whatever can sweeten the deal. Sometimes those guys go, oh, you're in the industry, man. Let me give you a little discount.
Yeah.
And then it's not always just a discount. Sometimes it's like, I'll talk to somebody and you can tell that they're just like feigning, feigning interest, where they're just like, yeah, that sounds super cool, man, awesome. Well, what can I sell you? And you're just like, all right, man, well, that doesn't seem like you really care. And so it's caring about the customer. And in fact, a lot of these times that customers will give you little details of their life. You can use that to tailor it to their weed smoking experience, man. Like
exactly, and you're there not just to sell them some weed. If that were the case, you'd be behind a glass. It'd be like a liquor store.
Could do it out of a vending
if
machine.
That were the case, they'd have a kiosk that people can enter numbers into.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
hand in a hole and then your weed comes out.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like buying a Reese's or something. But there's a passion to it. There's an experience to buying your cannabis. I mean, because most of us growing up, our experience was meeting some shady older dude in a dark alley. Literally, that's what the first time I bought weed was in a shopping center across the street from the house I grew up in, a little alleyway, right next to your favorite bar. I think I showed it to you. Right at, we used to call it Krauser's, the strip mall with big heads in it.
Yeah.
I bought 8 individual eighths.
That was
full
your
price.
Sale?
That's in 7th grade. Cops ended up getting like half of it.
8 individual eighths.
Yeah. I still remember the name.
Shopping center.
Because that's like all you knew of it was like I want to.
I had no idea. I was buying weed for the first time.
Yeah.
And I handed it off to my buddy. This is a shitty situation. I handed it off to my buddy Joe Brooks. Joe, I'm calling you out. And he brought it up to Shires and just handed it out because he was afraid his dad was going to find it.
Oh.
And then there was a quarter. Oh man, I'm not going to say that.
There's always a story.
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. Don't get me started.
Yeah, there's always a story where somebody was like, there's always a friend that was worried that someone was going to find out and flushed it.
Oh yeah.
Worse is when like you have people over and you wake up and your weed's like gone. You're like, oh man, like one of my friends.
No, I heard stories of Joe bringing up a big bag of weed and him just holding it out and people just grabbing for it. Pulling out of my brick middies swag weed.
I mean,
mostly
there's a difference. I mean, I guess here's the problem. Like, if you are like showing off about weed is something you want to show off.
Was there any like quality weed there back then?
No, it was really hard to get. It was really hard to get hydro. Like we call it was either like hydro or dank. You know, I had no idea. Like you'd hear like I think I heard of like Maui Wowie and Northern Lights because it's spoken about on like half baked.
Yeah,
you know?
dude,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of crazy.
same.
Pop culture. The only strains that I actually knew the names of were like ones that Snoop Dogg smoked and would name in his song.
yeah.
On that
That's
purple Urkel, and then you're
Yeah.
like, oh crap, purple Urkel's.
I remember like one day I'll buy weed that has a name.
At one point, I remember thinking that all those names were just like being made up on the spot by that person right
I
then.
know, I was like, where do I get these official
I
strains?
still think that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that like they would say like, yeah, Maui Wowie. I was like, okay, well they found the word Maui and rhymed it with Wowie, and we're like, now it raps better or something.
And then in Pineapple Express, when the bad guy names
Just
it,
sounds better.
really how they get the names? They're just on a whim.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, a
they
lot
all
of names are on a whim, or like they
Well,
have some of the times they have the dumbest backstory, and you're just like, okay, man, I'd rather sometimes the myth is better, or the legend is better than the truth, you know?
Yeah. Well, you had Rick Nye on. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah. The original name.
What a character!
Oh, yeah.
He's awesome.
And he, even in his own story, he says that he didn't give a shit what it was called. He just wanted.
I know.
Yeah.
He's a very, very special individual, and he's
Yeah. He was like, I don't care what you call it Gainesville, whatever. Just get by this
yeah,
shit.
give me the fucking money.
He is steady on the path to enlightenment
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, no, he's a great gentleman.
Yeah, good
So
conversation.
yeah,
Deep.
oh, I know. It was hard. I was riding around with an ATV while you guys
Yeah,
were talking.
you'll ask him a seemingly benign question, and then like 6 minutes later, you're talking about the truths of the I and you're like,
How to open your
so
one
that's why
true
it's
eye.
Gainesville Green.
Yeah.
He's awesome though. Yeah.
Hell's Angels and a duffel bag of.
Well, and we were supposed to go meet up with him at McCann for the convention,
yeah.
and then unfortunately,
I know, like
2020 happened.
Well, he's still here. You guys are still here, which is good. At least it wasn't a asteroid or meteorite hitting our a
Yeah.
volcano. Like
Oh
there
man,
was like this once this civilization that I forget what the name of it was, but the volcano took them all out one time.
Pompeii.
And I believe that was it. Yeah.
Yeah,
At least
man.
it's not Pompeii.
At least
don't-
we're not Pompeii.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
At least we
definitely.
didn't do.
I
Pompeii.
mean, knock on wood. Don't speak too soon.
Oh yeah, we just had an earthquake here, like 5 miles away from my place.
How big?
It wasn't big. It was a 3.9.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, like 6 months ago, there was another one, but it was a quarter mile away, or 3/4 of a mile away from here.
Whoa.
We're right on the fault line, like right between Nenana and Fairbanks.
Nah.
I feel like if you live in Alaska, you're pretty much near a fault line.
It's not your fault.
All right. I'm gonna really detour now, but I think Alaska, especially Fairbanks, is the best place to be right now. I mean, when all this shit happened, I had 6 months of food. I had a month full ready for like 14 people that I was expecting to be here for the entire month. 1,000 gallons of diesel for the heaters.
Damn, this guy's stocked.
What happened to those
Yeah.
14 people? Did they cancel?
Oh no, we ate them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Got to in these times.
Gotcha. I mean,
We got 2 moose that walked through the property today. But we don't have anything here anymore. There's no reason to come here.
he just set him out into the wild and he hunted him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sent my son out there.
Like, call it
Odin went out and
dangerous
caught
game.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's I haven't, like, I've had distress calls since this started from people down low 48, and I didn't really even recognize it until my cousin, who's a nurse, called me and was like, "Do you have enough diapers? Do you have enough water? Like, are you okay?" Like, I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, I see 6 people a month anyway. Anytime I go into town, I'm going into town to go to Walmart at 2 a.m. to avoid everybody, unless I'm going into town to go to the bar. And I'm just chilling out with the bartender because I'm just only see 3 people a day, really."
I know how you play your game. I know how you play.
You
You know how you play.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Me becoming an introvert.
Dude, we've noticed like a huge difference between the buying. Like I want to getting back on the subject of bud tending and stuff.
Please.
We've noticed a big difference between like the buying and the selling side. What the customers don't necessarily see.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great stuff.
It plays a big role into how they will end up perceiving the business in the long run every time. What happens behind the scene. It was most evident with Houston Grass Station. If you walked in there and you just bought some weed from them and stuff, awesome place, right? I don't know if you've been to that location. Houston Grass Station was super awesome, but everything that happened behind the scene absolutely ruined that business.
I know. I do. I drove for them a few times.
Yeah. Like they were real cool. I mean, like on the outside, the guy had a freaking party bus. He had a freaking limo. He had a freaking, exuberant lifestyle. He sold you some weed at a really good price. And the shop itself was super cool and open like basically 24 hours. It's like the only place that you could go at like any time of day and know that they're going to be open and be able to sell you weed. And like the background bullshit ended up driving that sucker into the freaking ground,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I always had a problem getting there because it's like right on the top. It's like halfway out on the top of the hill, right past Denali 420, the grow. But I always loved going into 420 recreational.
There are some shops like that you really look forward to going into, like on those deliveries and stuff. And it's people who are like nice, easygoing, and like have that communal sense for the industry, who like care about bringing good cannabis to the masses and not just about like making a buck and stressing out over the bottom line.
Yeah. Now Payton got to see a lot more of like what it's like to be on the customer side. Mm-hmm. And especially since he's doing these deliveries to all the different shops, and then he always would basically put them to the test.
Well, I wouldn't put them to the test, but you just make observations while you're there, and you notice that certain places that would be doing better than others, a lot of it has to do with the tone and like the mood in the place. And if it's just all stress, like a lot, like good places, the managers and people in charge are like walking around and socializing and like making sure everything's done up and up. And then you go to some places where there's like a guy just locked in his office in the back, like sort of orders to people and like get this out there. And the bud tenders aren't like happy to be there because they're like getting yelled at all day. So it's like, is that the reason you got into this business? Like, was that your dream when you wanted to have a dispensary, was just to be stressed and like pissed off all the time? Or are you trying to bring some good?
I think a lot of people went into it thinking it was going to be something that it wasn't. Let me.
How much of that was the business?
I'm very familiar with the business and stuff. But hold on 1 second. We got Robert Jeffrey asking a question. My question is, what does a nowadays bud tender, what should they be qualified in, have knowledge about? So I think he's asking what
qualifications should they come in?
What
knowledge base, like maybe what foundation of knowledge should they have on cannabis?
What should a new hire have
to prepare?
Like, what does a good resume look like? So So big time. Yeah. Nowadays it's all about knowing exactly how the market's moving right now, not 5 years ago, not 10 years ago, not how it used to be, and trying to bring that back. How does the market work right now? So marketing skills, is a big one.
Staying updated on like the new products and everything coming out, because that's what a lot of guests when they come in are looking for, like what's hot or like what it's coming,
a great, like you said, a great terpene knowledge. Nowadays, terpenes are basically the way that we buy our weed. We're not basing it on indica sativa hybrid. That's kind of a thing of the past, honestly. If people are using that terminology, it's like time to.
And you don't have to have a crazy in-depth knowledge of the science, but as long as you know like 8 basic terpenes and what they taste and the types of effects they're bringing to the table, that's a good place to start.
Also, what effects are gonna, we can't, call ourselves healers or doctors or whatever, but we're kind of offering the same service. We're trying to figure out what's ailing somebody.
Legally, you can say, in my experience.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's a big thing. The terminology with between recreational and medical. With a recreational state like Alaska that just jumped over the formal hard retail store for a dispensary, as a recreational facility, you can't say this is good for anxiety, this is good for sleep, this makes you a little energetic.
I remember when they went through and took all of the leafly terpene maps off the walls because it said
it's cheating.
Like, come on, guys. Is it not proven? I'm all right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's something that it's just absolutely ludicrous when you're going to be like, oh, you just can't say something. It's like, I don't know, what could you say in an alcohol establishment?
Yeah,
what could you say?
That's funny. You're right. At an alcohol establishment,
this beer will make you feel
there's
good.
nothing in alcohol that the guys isn't gonna be like, it'll fuck you up.
It's so much worse.
Fuck you up.
And we can have Bud Light trucks bringing literal truckloads of beer to these places with just
girls in bikinis, and you can't even advertise. You can't even have a commercial. But
why not have alcohol where you can advertise, but you can't show someone drinking it? You know what I mean? Just have the
Yeah, have the weed, but nobody's smoking it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's well, and in Alaska, we voted for legalizing it or treating it like alcohol.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny, huh? And
then what we went off of was
they treated it like alcohol for the amounts of consumption, and then they treated it like a drug for everything else. Like the fact that you can't advertise, the fact that you can't consume at anywhere. In what place are they okay, you guys can have liquor stores but no bars? Where at the bar they can regulate how much you're getting, how much you're drinking. At least there's the illusion that a bartender might cut you off.
Right. That was
at a liquor store. They're just gonna sell you shit. They're just gonna sell you because you don't have to drink it. You don't have to go in drunk. You can buy 10 bottles of liquor at once and then walk out of there. And then they can't control how much you consume at all.
No, absolutely not.
That's why I felt it was almost backwards.
Yeah,
it is. They came to a compromise in order to get it pushed through, but there are a lot of things that I like a lot more that I like in our recreational industry compared to if we went to medical first, which I don't think there's enough people that could afford to become medical in the state without going out of state, where Alaska, you have to be a resident to hold a license. You can't get outside state investments.
Yeah.
And that keeps out big business.
Yes.
In Pennsylvania, it costs $250K to get a license, and you have to show proof of $2 million in liquid.
That's so ridiculous, and that's why they're protesting the bills that are being passed right now for the Northeast, like New York and Connecticut. Because that's what they're gearing it for, is already the 1%ers who just want to make more buck. We need to be giving back to the people and making sure that people in these communities that have been disproportionately affected by the bogus war on drugs get those reparations for how they've been totally targeted.
Yeah. 100%. That's 100%.
I mean, that's it. I feel like it's, there's the laws that are put in place to just hurt the person that's hurting themselves or putting something into themselves as a rational adult or conscious adult, are just there to target certain people, or certain classes of people or certain colors of people, and
we're still seeing it. We're still seeing it. So.
Well, Yeah, it's because we haven't we as a the human race hasn't realized that we're all the human race. That's I don't feel like going into my whole.
We're all points of consciousness existing with.
Oh, it's like the most recent string theory, or the pull off the string theory. It's we're all one consciousness.
Yeah,
and intelligence is having intelligence, having the ability to store memory or store something means that there's something in that data is in there. So how did consciousness come into play?
Well, and if you're not really following this conversation, I recommend taking a hero's dose of mushroom.
This is quantum physics, so I don't feel like I don't have my calculator on me.
You're getting out of my realm, that's for sure.
So Ben, best like your 3 top things for a bud, for someone that wants to get into bud tending as a for recreational, that isn't, let's say, just making a customer feel good. What do they need to know in order for that customer to want to come back, other than just your chipper perfect smile?
First, I'd say a knowledge of every product. That's like the number one. I can't stand a bud tender that seems like they just got fucking put behind a counter with a barcode scanner. And I'm like, what about this? And they're like, oh, I haven't tried it yet, but it's, and then they start to try and describe it as soon as they said they haven't tried it yet. I'm like, then get the fuck out of my face with this. Like, I don't want to hear that. What I want to hear is, oh, dude, this stuff is awesome. I mean, I gave it a try thinking it would do this, and it totally did the opposite. Or like, you know, I seem to have a bad reaction to these terpenes. So every time I smoke this stuff, I get paranoid. So maybe I'm not the best critic of it. It might affect you differently. You know what I mean? Like a terminal, and I'm not just talking about weed. I'm talking about the devices that you sell too. Most shops have become the #1 sales of paraphernalia now. Like glass shops are becoming a thing of the past. Why go to 2 places when you can go to 1? Why go to a weed shop and a glass store when you can just go to a weed shop, glass store? It's so easy.
Absolutely. That's like a bar, a wine store, like a wine restaurant.
Dude, glass shops that haven't, and it sucks because there are some glass shops that I really loved going to that I just stopped going to once I worked at a rec place, a recreational sales shop, because we carried everything. You worked at a glass place, right? Yeah, it was like ours had, we got #1 for paraphernalia because I controlled that. And I was like, I was making sure we got all the top, you know, coolest shit. And I already knew how to use it so I could sell it super easy. You know, somebody's like, man, how do I smoke this? And I go like, well, let me show you how to smoke this. And then, you know, you take out a dab rig and you give them a freaking tutorial of it. And then they're like, well, that looks too much like freaking I'm smoking crack. And then you're like, cool. Then let me show you a totally different device that you can smoke the exact same product.
Perhaps you prefer freebasing.
Yeah. Oh, that's, yeah, man, you're talking my speech. You know, and it's a broad knowledge of all the products is always #1. And use of all those products. I don't want no half-assed non-seller. No, you know what I mean? Like, you know what? It's cool to be clear-headed.
Well, how do you afford that much, though?
Huh?
How do you afford that much cannabis?
You know what, man? Cool. You know, this comes back to the shop. The shop giving you half-gram samples or something to make sure that's up to the shop to make sure that you know all the products, or at least pulling them out, showing you what they are. Every single place does. You know, pulls out product to display it. Why not the boss, you know, display a nug and then give everybody else a freaking hit-a-rooski, you know?
Yeah, buy it for everybody, buy it for a cent and give it give it as a gift.
Not giving it away to your bud tenders, not sampling out your bud tenders is effing stupid in my opinion. Like, what are you saving? Like a couple bucks so then they don't know jack about their product? Because you're right. I couldn't afford to buy an eighth every freaking day to try.
It should be like a restaurant. When you have a new dish out, you let the employees take a bite of it. And you're like, so you can describe it properly to the guests that come in. And you can be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. Could you look into the camera and say it's fucking stupid not to
It's fucking stupid. All right. you don't give away bud tender samples. You a dumb. You not an owner. You're a non-owner. You should manage
you don't
nothing.
Samples
to
your employees. You can just go to hell and go.
There you go. I just want to drive that home, and that's valuable information for you get into routines as a business owner or manager, and you start forgetting the basics. It's like me pistol shooting. I literally watch like the most basic. I've been shooting for 16 years. Like professionally shooting like for my life, and I still like almost every day I'm doing dry fire, and I started out doing dry fire in the Marine Corps. We had a whole week of snapping in where you just sat there and guys would be crying like you're sitting in Indian style for I think that's not PC anymore, cross leg,
crisscross applesauce.
So
that's painful. That's for how long?
And you're pulling a trigger and racking it back, and you're looking at a 55-gallon drum, and just pulling the trigger. So you get that's how you learn, but then you forget how you did it, and you get into these routines that are you're forgetting some of the basics. And a basic thing is making sure your employees know your product.
Wow, what a way you brought that back full circle. I was seeing if you were going to do it, and you freaking did it, man.
Yeah, I was going to start.
I know you. I was going to see if you were going to start rambling about shooting a gun, and then he's like, and then that's you treat your employees right, man. That's how you do it.
Know your inventory and products.
Your employees are number one, man. That is it.
Product. Know about optional other resources. It's like only knowing your own company is not very smart. I had the fortunate opportunity to work for multiple different types of companies. I worked for Leafly. I worked with a company called Sub-Zero Scientific. It's like I've done research across the board. That way you got a much more broad knowledge. It's extremely attractive to the customer when you can recommend things that aren't your company's. When you can let them know hey man,
or if they have a strain they're looking for and you don't offer it, I know where you can find it.
Look it on Weed Map. That is so crucial, because that means that they can come to you, and if you don't have exactly what you need,
they can go somewhere else. Guess who's the first person they went to was you.
Yeah, guess who has the information and knowledge, but they'll go.
Boom. So that's exactly what it is. And then third, my favorite thing is just being able to size up each customer. Every customer is not the same in the weed industry, big time. It's not like, I don't know. In every job, everybody's different. But especially in weed, like just saying, just selling the highest THC and saying this is a heavy hitter, that ain't going to get the job done. There's going to be people that come back and they're like, dude, this was too strong. I freaked out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you gotta really know, you gotta know your shit.
Yeah, man. And being able to talk to the person, like I said earlier, talking to the person, and knowing like if they have a story or something that might help you actually sell them a better type of weed. Like, let's say somebody's like, oh man, I just work, like, especially right now, I work in a hospital. I'm seeing a lot of sick people, a lot of death around me. And you can be like, hey man, well, I got this strain of weed that makes you literally forget your whole day. And like a lot of people used to call that like one of the side effects would be memory loss or something for weed. But there's some strains that specifically are designed for memory.
That's a benefit.
Loss. Yeah, sometimes it's needed. You don't want to remember having to like watch a guy die on a table, so you want to get super high. Once again, weed is a really awesome for medical work. Would be awesome for medical workers right now, and I'd like to see maybe some weed companies doing deals, if not giving away some product to people in the medical industry, because I mean, guess what? You're going to get a customer for life too, because once they get hooked on your product, man, hooked on that great ass feeling of stress relief and not like having to feel the same way every day, they're going to be coming back after this is all over, Oh
so, yeah, you gain trust. You gave them something that they asked for, which typically doesn't happen. And you did it with a smile on your face, and you made them feel comfortable.
Exactly.
That's right. Honesty too.
Yeah, honesty. I mean, that is a pillar life. You're never going to be a happy person or live a fulfilled life if you're not honest with people.
We were talking a little bit about before the show. Me and Payton were talking a lot about knowing the cultivation and manufacturers' reputations is a big one.
Yeah, when you're going into like what are guests looking for when they're looking for strains? Maybe like if they know good cultivators, that's what they'll go to. And so know like what cultivators were bringing out consistently quality products.
Yeah,
that you can
know who's done a good job of promoting themselves, so you don't have to do any more work. Yeah. Like if you've got the products that everybody wants.
I know AKO's bringing the heat.
You know? Yeah, exactly. There's certain brands out there that are just absolute. And then there's ones that you have to do more work as a consumer to get somebody to buy. But if you've tried it and believe in it, you can do it. Like
there's a strain for everyone.
That's that was my big job. I would do that online a lot was do videos and stuff, trying out these new products and showing consumers
I remember
that. And I would use those as resources in my shop.
Work.
I'd be like, yo man, check out this dab I took of this stuff. That's how they know I had tried it. And then I'd be like, trust me, it's really awesome. And I'm behind, I'm an official source.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ben, we got what a minute, a little over a minute before it's 4:20.
Yeah, we rolled up a stove.
Let me just thank the MassCann and Normal. This is they're allowing us to use their platform, and I enjoy. I get to talk to them every day, and I really like what's going on. And,
thank you so much for having us on. This is really cool. It's a cool experience. Thank you. We appreciate it.
So this is part of the Education Village for MassCann. You can go to their website at masscann.org. Find out more information. It's $25 to be a member, which I highly recommend. They run the Boston Freedom Rally. It'll be the 31st year this year. I'll definitely be there. It'll be I'll be there if we're not still in a.
Yeah. Do you know when that is by chance?
It's
in on the spot.
I don't know. I'm sure
it's gonna be the 31st one.
Yeah, the 31st one, yeah.
Wow.
September 19th, 9/19. That date's actually, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing in my life, but I went for years seeing 9:19 a.m. and p.m. every day.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. You told us that story. The 19 followed you.
Weird. The universe is speaking to you.
The universe is speaking to all of us all the time. It's just what we do. It's 420.
Happy 420, everybody.
Hey, entertain them for a second. I'm going to go get some good cannabis.
Happy 420.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, man. We were talking about how weird deliveries are and how tough they were. The worst delivery of my career was I was driving through Anchorage. I had like 3 more stops to do, 3 giant totes of cannabis in the back of my car. Going through an intersection in Anchorage, got into a terrible accident.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Totally totaled my car. It was like leaking and smoking, and I was like totally in shock where I was like shaking. The whole front of my car was dented in. I like got out. It wouldn't move. It was just in the middle of the road.
Oh.
And I was like,
that's how I got most of my clients. That's how I got most of the clients, because everybody would crash.
Really?
Luckily, I had like tactical driving courses under my belt and stuff.
Oh, that's so funny. So I'm like in a wreck, and I'm like on the side of the road, like sort of shaking. I'm like, crap, I got 3 totes of cannabis in there, and like, what's going to happen? And a lady who was behind me who saw what happened came up. She was like, are you okay? Are you okay? Like, do you need anything? And I realized I didn't have my wallet on me. I was like, I don't know where my wallet is. She's like, I'll go get it for you. And she like goes into my car in the street and like leans in and like grabs my wallet off the floor and brings it to me. And as she handed it to me, she whispered, your car smells like chronic. I was like, yeah, I got 3 totes in the back. It's legal. I got it manifested. So a friend of mine, Jake, came, who also worked in the industry. He owned a place, and he took it out of my car and helped me deliver the rest for the day. So he's the savior. But yeah, that was terrible. Because what would have happened? I mean, like, that's not accounted for.
Yeah, and here, check this out.
I know companies like having the tow truck driver take them the rest of the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went 120,000 miles without getting without an accident, a speeding ticket, a notice violation, nothing. I couldn't believe it. Like first time,
damn good, damn fine.
No one would be, and I would have my entire vehicle filled up every week, going 1,400 miles, most of the time on my own. It's the definition of insanity. If there was
just gonna say it could drive a man to madness.
Yeah, man. I you know what I did do? I listened to the 4 agreements every single time, and I think it got me through it. It actually changed my perspective on life. So if you haven't read the 4 agreements, do it.
I have not.
It changed my life. It's a short book. It really is 4 pillars of really freeing yourself from a lot of things. Really, it helped me become a better person. And it is the 4 simplest things, but the 4 pretty much hardest things you could do as a person. And like, I mean, it's from like don't lie. Always be impeccable with your word, right?
Yeah.
It is so difficult to do that. Like, especially like the little white lies, like, oh, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Like now I'm just like, I'll get there when I get there.
Yeah, but if your word has meaning, you want your word to carry weight and have significance.
Yeah.
And it only
that's all man has. That's all a person has really is their word, and that after that it comes with their trust comes and they become reliable. And I mean that's what it is.
And that's how you develop long-lasting business relationships and partnerships and guests who keep coming back. Because if you're honest and open with people, I mean that's how they'll trust you.
Oh, there goes your couch, Ben. Your comfortable couch.
Oh. When we were doing our stream, we had a drinking/smoking game going that whenever Ben dropped or like broke something, the viewers had to drink. And I think everyone was pretty hammered by the end of it. What the heck?
It literally disappeared. Is it in my pocket?
Is it like in the back? I mean, that's got to change. We can't just have that going on.
I'm looking.
But yeah,
I can see it. It's right here.
Oh, weird.
All right. Can you hear me?
It's still going.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Got it. I saw the
still
smoke
going,
rising. I'm like, that's either the chair or the joint fill.
Dang. It felt perfectly. I don't know how this happened, man.
Careful.
Anyway, yeah, hold it correctly this time.
Yeah, man.
Dude, when you got in that accident, literally 10 minutes later, I was coming down a mountain. I was flying like an avalanche coming down a mountain in my car.
Just like the Midwest.
And my car, like something happened in my entire like freaking like
transmission.
Not my transmission, but my gearbox just exploded. My something happened. My gearbox like exploded or something while I'm coming down the mountain. Huh?
You threw a tie rod.
Yeah, something like that. And like the freaking, and like, so me and you both got in like really bad car ending accidents.
Yeah. Both of our cars were ended on the same day. Within like 20 minutes of each other.
Yeah. It was super nuts. So it was like, that's why I was like, this guy, something's up.
Yeah.
I got pulled over one time. One of the first times we had like 200 pounds of trim on us by a stadium in Denali in the federal area. I had Marine Corps plates on my truck. I had a Chevy 1-ton, and he's like, "You're going 4 miles over the speed limit." I'm like, "I'm sorry." And he's like, "You still in the military?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Got any guns on you?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "All right, well, slow down. It's there's ice until me nana." I'm like, "All right, thanks, man. Have a good day."
Oh my gosh. Because 4 miles.
Those two questions were, can you kick my ass? Are you able to kill me? All right. Have a nice day.
Sir, can you kick my ass? Are you currently leaving? I will leave.
I absolutely, I love every interaction with the state troopers of Alaska has been, I respect police officers, that outfit so much. And
That's good.
I train police officers back in Philly, and they're all. I haven't. There's been one incident where I've come in contact with a police officer that wasn't trained correctly, had a mentality of superiority, and just was not trained correctly. And this is coming from me. I mean, I've been training police officers in CIT, firearms instruction.
And do you find they're usually like eager to learn?
It depends on what the situation is. Like back in Philadelphia, we do crisis intervention, the veterans module of it. So these guys and ladies are coming in to get their like less than lethal training. So like they're getting their tasers and going through scenarios, doing whatever you can in order not to have to pull your gun out. Because once you pull your gun out, police officers in America are the only
escalation.
Well, they're the only ones that it is completely necessary. I truly believe it's completely necessary for them to pull out their gun in certain situations, but they're the only ones that pull out their gun and hold it. You know, I got them at gunpoint. Like with me in the military, if I unholster my weapon, I am firing my weapon. Especially for concealed carry, anything out in the public. Like if you pull your weapon, you better be ready to fire that weapon, because if you don't, somebody's going to take that from you and kill you with your own weapon. And the only time I want to get killed by my weapon is when I have a pile of brass around me and he's beat me to death with it.
Well said.
So that's the difference. Any other situation, like it's, and also officers get hurt because of it. And I can't say that I don't know the studies, but having a weapon. I'm sorry, I just going back to it. But we're talking about police officers, and I was a firearms instructor. But with the CIT, I think I've gotten so many good vibes off the Philadelphia police, and they're a big police force. I think they're the fourth in the country. They are very professional. I mean, I'll finish up my spiel, and it's cool because they'll actually add extra time on the class, so that I when I come back to Philly, I come and speak. And I never say anything about weed. Like the first thing I'll say is like, sorry, I'm talking a little slow. I didn't get to smoke my joint this morning.
Nice.
You guys are behind the curve. And then
I'm a little.
No. But at the end, I'm like, all right, well, good day. Thanks for listening. Like the VA will be like, oh, aren't you gonna tell them like what magazine cover you're on and what you do for a living? So I do, and there's usually a couple of them that come up to me and ask me if I'm hiring for the transport.
That's cool.
But I always have a good time with them. It's one of the most fulfilling things that I do as a volunteer is getting to train the police officers in how to talk people down in a behavioral health emergency.
Smart.
And I get phone calls about it too. And that's, I mean, I don't do it to get, I mean, I don't throw it out there very often, but they train, the team for Philadelphia trains 60 police officers a month. Dang. And they're not just it's at the academy, but it is like corporal sergeants, people that are already on the beat in some of the hardest streets in Philadelphia.
The hard streets of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Well, do we have time for you to like tell us
the hard streets?
I think we can keep going if you guys are okay with it.
Well, I gotta run up to work, and last night my boss actually told me
you got reprimanded.
Yeah, for coming in late. I go to work in like 30 minutes, but I gotta be out of here in like probably like 10. Yeah. Like I gotta.
Okay. Well, no, that's fine. Maybe MassCann will let us come back on again.
Yeah, anytime you guys want to have us, I think we're good to go. We'd love to be on again.
Yeah, we also, we do our show every Saturday at midnight East Coast time, 8 o'clock Alaska time, and it's
CANNABIS radio show. We'd talk about the latest news. We always do like a top 5. Ben gives a strain of the week, and then we have some fun. So tune in if you're on Facebook.
Yeah, we get super stoned and we give you guys the kind of information you want. Also, we'd like to give. I don't know what else.
We're good.
Yeah, that was it.
Well,
our 420 joint got me pretty late.
The Callus Cannabis, because they're one of your sponsors. They make it happen. That's why you have those headphones on your ears. That's why
you're right. Yeah, we're sponsored by Catalyst Cannabis and Midnight Sun Manufacturing. They're like 2 of the dopest. One's a manufacturing company, Midnight Sun.
CO2 concentrates.
Yeah, the other one is a purveyor of fine goods and a pretty awesome cultivator of cannabis. So cool. They sponsor the show. We're really pumped on them.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, again, I want to thank MassCann for letting us come on for the educational portion of this. I hope to be able to continue this conversation with the both of you. And I will be having more discussions with more of a heavy subject. We will have New Jersey Weedman, Ed Fortune on.
Hell yeah!
And we're gonna have him. Sorry, I keep on looking at my computer. I'm sorry, I keep looking at my computer instead of the camera. So we're gonna grab him. He's really upset with the bill that's going through in New Jersey. I grew up. My mother and father live right across the bridge from his joint. Benny, I think you slept there once. But he's and I see where he's coming from with that. Along with Brandon Emmett, who is the owner. He's a co-owner of Good Titrations, and also one of the 5 MCB or Marijuana Control Board up in Alaska is governor appointed members. He recently, when was that? Maybe a year ago, 6 months ago, he stepped down.
I think it was a year ago.
Something like that, yeah. So he helped. He helped get us going, and he was part of approving the first 2 or 3 years of.
We could look it up, but I think maybe it was like 8 months ago, maybe 9 months ago, because I remember we actually brought it up that Brandon Emmett had gotten. I remember it's in this.
I not only personally, but he was the only pot guy on the roster there. I'm sorry. And I'm also gonna have Professor Joe Vitriol on. He's a
He's a Harvard.
He's a
Harvard. He's from Harvard. He went to Harvard.
Yes. Oh no, he's a professor at Harvard. So
professor.
He teaches there, and he does political, government, social psychology.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to having him on. And I think it'll all bring everything together, and we'll be able to learn something significant that you can't find on Google.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to finding out what that means.
We'll be tuning
in. Thank you again for having us.
Big thank you to Normal.
Yeah.
And McCann. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, MassCann. Not McCann. What the?
It's all right. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having us.
Yeah. Tune in to Best Buds Saturday night. And follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, tomorrow night. Or I guess depends on when you post this.
Thank you, Pearson. We'll see you again. We're here whenever.
Yeah, I'll talk to y'all soon.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah.